morning, Mr. Walsh.
Morning.
We're just meeting this morning to kind of have a coaching conversation really about the lesson that I observed the other day with you. And basically the purpose of this is to provide some advice and listen to your thoughts on how the lesson went and some teaching practices that you can continue to use to create a high level of learning for each student, okay? A few questions here. What did the students actually do during the last class that I observed?
Okay, first they had an assignment they were working on, writing a letter, kind of explaining their views concerning slavery if they're a typical Northerner. And they were gonna, at this point, they were gonna kind of collaborate a little bit, talk with each other about their letters. And then some were, you were gonna volunteer, hopefully, to share their letters, with the class. And then the remainder of the class, we introduced a tic-tac-toe for the Civil War unit that's coming up with different projects and things like this that they could do for this unit.
And so with your tic-tac-toe then, am I understanding that that is differentiated so that kids can learn the same material but
Different ways, yes. Yeah, and they'll have, well, I provide them with like 9 choices, a tic-tac-toe type format. They will do 3 of those projects, and form a tic-tac-toe. I did leave one opening that they could create their own too, so I guess really the sky could be the limit. The only catch is they have to kind of tell me what their idea is and we can build on it. And I'm kind of hoping we can, get a few students to incorporate some technology because they're pretty tech savvy, some of these kids are.
Okay, that sounds good. What did you observe throughout the lesson that made you self-reflect on the lesson that you had taught there?
Well, you just kind of read student body language. They seem pretty interested when we're talking about the tic-tac-toe project. During our letters, I could observe different students, making suggestions, or hey, I like this, I like that, and then we asked for sharing. We had students that actually, hey, share yours with them, that was pretty good, things like this. So I think it went pretty well.
Okay. Were there any body language cues that sparked some thinking about the lesson?
You just kind of watch and you can see a few kids, showing more interest, especially as we got into some of the tic-tac-toe things they can do, and as we showed examples and things like this, you can see the ones that they tended to, I got a tendency to think they're going to like certain ones more than others. This sort of thing.
And you were saying something about when you were explaining the projects, you were kind of watching some facial expressions, and you were thinking maybe there might have been some confusion on what until you showed.
Yeah. At times, some acted, you could kind of see that. At times, some were like had just a little puzzled look, and then I kind of reassured them that hey, we will have rubrics that go along with all these, and I keep them in a file. And I didn't want to hand out a packet with 10 different or 9 different rubrics if they were interested in each one of them. But when they have expressed an interest in something, I did suggest, hey, look at the rubrics, and as days went past, we could share a rubric, said, hey, now make sure these are things you gotta have in this, and I think that kind of, clarified for them what was expected. Along with some examples too to show them.
Oh yeah, so you had examples of what expect.
Some of the past, work of some good examples of what I would say were like, well, they were the higher end examples there.
Okay.
They could see that, this is what something like this might look like.
And is that something that you kind of added to this so that you would make sure that there was clarification from the beginning?
Yeah, that was the idea behind this. Probably wouldn't hurt to, add maybe what a medium or example is, maybe one that's not quite up to expectations, so they know that, what expectations are, things like this too, would probably help.
All right. What are some strategies that could be successful in this lesson in the, next time?
Well, like I said, I think next time I'm gonna, as I get a few examples that maybe didn't quite cut it, or maybe one that I had a student turn in that, of course, part of this too is anytime that they bring a sample or they turn a project in and it doesn't quite cut it, I'll talk to them, hey, this is what you need to do, use the kind of rubrics, and maybe I might say, hey, can I use that? And I can show them ahead of time, hey, here's a sample that didn't quite make it. These are
Okay.
some things you can do. And I might try to have a few of those on hand so that they understand that I'm going to have some fairly high expectations for them.
Good. And you said something about allowing them to be able to use technology.
Yeah.
And so with that, what are your kind of thoughts on if it's something new, how would you get them to, to recognize that they did something that was really neat? Are you planning to have them share that with the other kids? or-
Yes. I would hope they'd share it and possibly, I'll have to go to work. There's possibilities of PowerPoints. I've had a couple kids mention that.
A number of
There's a number of things. I'm not sure what's all out there. I'm going to learn a little myself.
Exactly.
From the kids on this, and then, I'll have to kind of talk to them a little bit, and down the road, I suppose, try to develop some sort of a rubrics or whatever for that
Yeah.
area too as it happens.
Okay.
I'm kind of excited just to see what some of them come up with.
What are your goals for the future with this type of lesson?
Well, we've been into it a little bit. The kids really showed quite a bit of interest in it at the end of the class where they could get up and actually look at samples, and they were talking with each other about, hey, we'll work together on this one and that one and different things like this, and it really kind of generated some excitement amongst the students. What I've done and I'm working on right now is I could see where I could create a unit very similar to this, maybe tic-tac-toe, to go with American Revolution, and possibly, try to work in a couple more of these type units where I can use them. But American Revolution, I'm definitely thinking of doing.
Do you feel like this is enabling the students to become their own best teachers?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
How do you feel like your role is kind of shifted a bit with this compared to?
Well, instead of being in front, leading it, it's more student-led. They're bringing things to me. I'm actually doing some learning myself.
Right.
And it's very interesting. Some things more of a mentor type thing.
Okay.
And a resource type person where I can help them find materials, this sort of thing.
Well, that sounds good. Let me see. What do you feel you're going to need as resources to continue creating these types of lessons and in your classroom?
Well, we need technology,
Okay.
times to be available, and when I think we can work that out fine. Just so when you come in my classroom, if it appears a little chaotic, I'm hoping you realize, what we're doing. Maybe get him being a social studies teacher and yourself. Maybe you could even be able to be a resource for some of the kids on some of these things and just know what's going on.
One of your students asked me here to provide some MREs for for his project that he's doing
Yeah.
on how to show the military using their food compared to what they used for food during
Yeah,
the Civil War.
earlier in the unit, not in this unit, but back one of the previous wars, we had a little section in chapter that talked about hardtack a little bit. And he wanted to make some hardtack then, and I kind of thought, you know what, this kid, this might fit good for him because he wanted to do this. He brought me something, he said he made it. It was terrible, but he brought it and he says, wow, I don't know how these guys ever made it on this stuff. And sometimes that's all they had. And I said, you know, and I got thinking, I was of course working on this tic-tac-toe, and we were thinking of the individualized units. What he's going to do is he's gonna research diet during the Civil War, and as in hardtack was a big part, you know, at times in battle, that's all they had. And what he wants to do is he's gonna actually make some hardtack and bring it. Then he asked me about, you know, what do they do in the field today? And I said, hey, got the perfect guy for you to go to. Go to
Yep.
our principal. He's in the National Guard. Maybe he could line you up. Years ago, we had a member of the National Guard. It was a janitor, Keith Finner, and he brought some one time, just to school. And I said,
Right.
I bet he may be able to get you something. Maybe help you with a little demonstration or something of how troops in the field, you know, take care of themselves when they food and this sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to it. I
Right.
think it's going to be kind of interesting.
It's an
see
excellent
what happens.
comparison,
Yeah,
and you know, creates relevance.
Relevance, exactly.
So-
That'd be great.
All right. Well, what I'm hearing is that you are learning some different strategies yourself, and you're constantly self-reflecting and thinking of different ways that you can be able to tweak your lesson to make it better. And I'm also hearing you say that what you would need in your classroom for support would be some technology. Time to be able to use the technology and be able to have support from me to, you know, help out
Sure.
where I can, and also be able to come in and recognize that you are doing something different than what you've done, and that it may be a tad bit chaotic, but there's a lot of learning going on and a lot of higher level learning.
Well, maybe when the projects are finishing, it'd be nice if you could stop in and maybe see a few of the projects, so you can actually see for yourself that these
Yeah.
kids are
That's
really
definitely
good.
I'll
I'll let you
something
know.
that I can do. So, I thought the lesson was very well put together. It was managed well. The students were participating. They didn't even pay attention that I was even in the room. And I did like how they were encouraging each other to go up, and when they noticed that somebody's letter was very good, to encourage them to get up and you know, give them feedback. And I think you've done some good things here, and it's very nice to see that you've got goals set for yourself on, you know, how to make that even get better, and then also what you're looking to do with your American Revolution unit there. And so anyway, if you have any questions whatsoever throughout you know, any of this, please let me know, and I'd be glad to provide some input wherever you need. All right?
Great.
Hey, thank you very much.
You
We'll
bet.
chat with you later.
Yep.